What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Phaithful Phanatics Show. We are live here on DSM-Media's Philadelphia YouTube and Twitter channels. Guys, do yourself a favor. Do us a favor. Make sure to check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. Smash that follow button and then check out the link tree in our bio. It will take you to every social media platform we are available on. If you guys want to get interactive in the chat today, like my man D-Rab is doing right now, make sure to check out the YouTube link specifically. Hit that subscribe button. Share with your friends, family, any other Philly sports fans that you may know of that could enjoy the content. I'm one half of your host, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. Daryl Morey had some interesting comments to say about the past 2 years of Sixers success or lack thereof and the fan base. The NFL free agency legal tampering period has officially opened up today. I know we brought back Saquon Barkley. I know we brought back Zach Bond. Some Eagles have fled the nest today, Scotty. We're going to talk about those 4 defensive players leaving, where we go from here, how we can fill those holes now moving forward. It's conference tournament week. Selection Sunday is 6 days away now. We're going to start to talk about a little bit of March Madness leading up throughout the rest of the week. But happy Monday, brother. How's it going?
Yeah, man. Happy Monday. It's always a dream hopping on the stream, right? No, I'm just kidding. That was really corny. Yeah, but happy Monday, man. I'm happy to be here with you. I know there's some Eagles fans like out there freaking out if you get on Twitter. There's no need to freak out. This was always going to happen. I will say one thing that's funny is them scheduling like the Saquon press conference
the day of,
like as if that's like gonna kind of keep us busy, right? Like let's all get indulged in that. I actually didn't even catch it, if I'm being completely honest. I didn't catch the Saquon press conference, so I can't tell you anything about it. But nonetheless, it was a little bit of a deflection there. But I think first and foremost, congrats to these boys going out and getting bags. Like Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, you weren't getting that here ever. So
no.
Congratulations.
No, you were not.
I think those numbers are crazy, but
yeah.
This is where the NFL is, I guess. And these are Super Bowl champions. At the end of the day, they bring experience and pedigree. Maybe they can take some of the leadership qualities from our defense to some of these lesser units. But no, congratulations to those guys. The one that was semi-surprising was maybe Isaiah Rodgers.
Yeah, but 2 years.
Even that one, I'm not going to lose sleep.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. That's definitely the most surprising of the day. Because when we talked about Slay getting released, and then after obviously the spectacle of the social media and podcast run last week, you knew he wasn't coming back. So we kind of figured Isaiah Rodgers could step up in a way there. He's not from all reports from like not just like fans obviously, but from people inside the building and reporters. They have kind of suggested that the Eagles are a lot higher on Kelly Ringo internally than a lot of people would think, right? Or would assume. So sense. They could keep it in-house and just have this overall youth movement in the secondary. I'm going to assume they bring in a veteran presence, even if it's a guy that is not CB1, right? Just a guy to have in the room, a mixture kind of guy that comes off the bench a little bit. But yeah, definitely Isaiah Rodgers shocked me today. Slay going to Pittsburgh. Josh Sweat reunited with Jonathan Gannon down there in Arizona.
But I didn't even think of that, but yeah,
you mentioned being surprised. I said this to you before the show, man, and I guess we can kick off with these free agents getting their money. And again, well-deserved, forever thankful and grateful to, winning cures all, man, and winning will get you a lot of money. And when you show out the way those two did in the Super Bowl, you're going to get a lot of money. But $104 million from the New England Patriots goes to Milton Williams. Maybe I'm undervaluing what Milton Williams brought to the middle of this defensive line, but $100 million. The first thing that came to my mind, what are we going to have to pay Jalen Carter?
Yeah.
Is it 200?
Incredible.
Is it 109? Where is Jalen Carter's market if Milton Williams, who we knew was going to depart, but he gets 104 from New England, man. Now, obviously, that could just be a complete excessive overpay from New England standpoint, just really wanting to get their guy or something. But that was definitely the biggest headline for me so far today.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair point when you talk about surprises, like the amount of money that Milton Williams got. Josh Sweat's was a little surprising too. Even I mean, with his injury history,
was he 76?
76 over 3, or am I
think 3 or 4? Yeah. But I think 3.
3 for Sweat, 4 for Milton, right?
Yes. Yeah, I believe
and so when I look at Milton Williams, I mean, time will tell ultimately if he can be a full down defensive tackle or nose tackle that can really get after the quarterback at a full capacity, right? Because you don't pay a guy that much to come on and off the field. Yeah. Do you these days? Like, do you pay for a specialty nose tackle in that amount this day and age? I don't think you do. So I think we do find out what Milton Williams is about up in New England. And I do think, to your point, it being the New England Patriots, a team that was not good at all last year. Sure. And you're getting a Super Bowl champion. So I think you pay a little bit in excess to bring a guy like that in.
They brought over Harold Landry as well. So they are revamping things on the defensive side.
They are. To be fair enough. And you got Mike Vrabel up there. Yep. He created an identity in Tennessee, at least. Looks like he's trying to do the same type of thing there up in New England. So happy he got his bag. Like you said, like no way he could have gotten that number or anything close to that from the Philadelphia Eagles, because we do have Jalen Carter. And my question, man, because I think Jalen Carter is the guy where you're like, man, that bag is going to hurt, but you do it. Because picturing him leaving the defense is going to be miserable.
Yeah, no shot.
But I do look down the line at a guy like Jordan Davis. And once again, I'm not comparing him to like Jalen Carter type. More comparing him to like Milton Williams. Like, obviously Jordan Davis is run specialty type of nose tackle. Where does his value lie versus a guy like Milton Williams?
Right.
And if it's trending up towards those numbers, he won't be back on this team. But I'm interested.
I don't think he is in.
He shouldn't be, right? Because the thing about Milton is getting after the quarterback. That's what teams want. They want a guy that's going to get after the quarterback first and foremost. Something that Jordan Davis isn't known for. He's known for stuff in the run. So he might not demand as much.
Here's the way I'm looking at the Milton Williams thing, right? Yeah. And another thing, just to include Josh Sweat in the conversation as well. Yeah. The Eagles have known that these two were walking. Like, from day one, like, this is not a shock to them. Obviously, Zach Bond was priority number 1. Yeah. They get that done. They knew they're going to have to do something on the defensive line in the trenches this offseason. So we'll see where they go from here. Like you mentioned to start the show, anybody like freaking out or panic, like, what are we doing?
I saw people saying, like, we're losing everybody.
Yeah, okay. I mean, dear God. But
we're not.
And it has to be an anomaly from New England. I believe I heard on ESPN earlier, I could be way off here, but I believe they have now, he is the fourth highest, or no, that can't be right. He's somewhere in the top 10 of highest all defensive linemen, highest paid all defensive linemen, not just interior defensive linemen. It's including edge rushers. Milton Williams is like a top whatever paid defensive lineman now. And look, again, forever grateful for his Super Bowl performance, right? He had 2 sacks in the postseason. He played well. This is a guy that had 5 sacks this year. Fine year. Defensive tackle as well for the most part, right?
Solid.
Scotty, in 3 years, Milton Williams has 11.5 sacks.
Yeah.
11.5 sacks over 3 years.
Right?
$104 million. That's not equating to me. So congratulations to him. His pops was awesome on the Super Bowl run. Like, everything, his family. Yeah. He was never sniffing.
It is interesting. It is interesting. Do you like, because in respect to where he was drafted, he's been excellent.
For sure.
He's been great. Sure. But does that mean that he's $100 million guy? Do you know what I mean? Like, is that what it is? The fact of where he was drafted versus what he is producing now, not compared to what a top tier player at that position is producing, right? Like, that's the only way I can see it. He's shown flashes, but once again, I guess that's why the Patriots get to do it, right? Versus another team who maybe needs a little bit more certainty for that price tag.
Yeah.
The Patriots can kind of, I don't want to say throw it away because I'm not trying to disrespect Milton Williams at all. I'm just saying he wasn't a full down defensive tackle.
No. And I think that's something you're going to, and again, like how do you pay a rotational piece?
Do they have a Jalen Carter there that's going to allow him to be rotational like that?
Right. All right.
I don't think so. But
you move on from those two.
Him,
yeah, 1,000%. Move on from those two. Slay gone, Rodgers gone. Now you're looking at three pieces you got to solve, right? You got to bring in at least two, or draft one and sign a veteran or whatever on the defensive line. And then you're looking in the CB room. Obviously, Kelee Ringo could make a step up, but you are going to need depth there now that you've lost two guys that played above Kelee Ringo last season, right? So where we go from here, I don't know. I'm not going to lie to you. I have not dug in to names down the sheet in the cornerback free agency market or the defensive tackle free agency market just yet. I think it's just important to state there to the 70 some odd people that are in here right now. If you are one of those people that are like having a panic attack over the first few hours of the legal tampering period, I got news. Like the Eagles don't have that. Like, I don't know why people are treating this offseason like the Eagles have to be like they have a lot of holes to plug. Got a handful of holes to plug.
Yeah.
With what I believe I saw six draft picks.
With the comp picks,
Yeah, in the top 4 rounds or something like that.
Got 3 comp picks today or 4 or something like that. So no, I agree. I think as well, man. I hate to be corny about the Georgia stuff, you know what I mean? But Kelee Ringo, he's done his time on special teams. Mm-hmm. He's not really a special teams player in my eyes, like from his skill set, what he does on the field, but he actually excelled at it. He made some big hits. He made some big plays on special teams. He soaked it all up, and he kind of deserves a chance. And I don't mean a chance like, pencil him in as the starter, but to your point, you bring in maybe a cheap veteran corner with a little upside, maybe some experience to add to the room, and you let those guys compete it out. Maybe it ends up that Cooper DeJean starts outside and he battles it out and he solidifies himself on the outside. That's a possibility as well. And then I think slot corner is a little bit easier to fill than outside. But
I don't know.
I guess
I'll say this. Now that you brought that up and we do have that hole on the outside, I don't even want that. I don't even want them to tinker with the idea of that.
The only reason I say that is because I did see a report that the Eagles drafted Cooper DeJean with in mind that he has the capability to play outside.
Yes,
and they do think of him in that fashion. But I feel you. When you have a specialty player on the inside that dominated like he did last year on the inside, I feel you. It's just one of those things. Like I've seen rumors of like Asante Samuel Jr., right? If you bring him in, he's going to be a slot corner. He's not going to the outside.
Right.
So I think it's a good thing you have versatility with Coop.
Yeah.
He has a skill set. He obviously showed he's highly athletic. He can play anywhere, honestly. But
I just think
I feel you though.
You're running the risk of creating 2 holes at that point instead of just filling one. And at the level in which he played, which you greatly remember when we were bringing up the Myles Garrett talk, and obviously no one was suggesting you're trading Cooper DeJean. We were just throwing out there like the value of Myles Garrett, and you know how highly ranked Cooper DeJean was this year.
Yeah,
I don't need to tinker with that at all, man. I got my cornerback one of the future in Q. I got my slot guy in Cooper DeJean. It's different at this level than playing outside. And I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not saying he wasn't brought here with the idea of doing it. But with how well you saw him play in the slot this year, that is different than going up against the majority of number ones, right? In the slot, you get a very niche group of number ones. A Cooper Kupp might tinker in the slot. And Amon-Ra St. Brown might play in the slot. A guy like Chris Godwin can play in the slot. But when you're talking outside, you're talking week after week after week of possibilities of the Jamar Chases, the Justin Jeffersons, the Mike Evans, the so on and so forth. And I'm not saying he's not up for the task. I'm just saying that's a different world.
It's because I do feel there's like part of me that wants to present devil's advocate, But I do agree with you ultimately. I think it's one of those things where maybe if you don't have 3 wide receivers on the field, you don't have a slot option on the field, he goes outside. Do you know what I mean? Where you only have 2 corners on the field, right? And maybe he comes in as the second corner in that unit. But then whenever you do have like a 3 wide receiver set or a wide receiver set with a tight end slotted out, right? Maybe then he drops in to play that slot nickel type of coverage position. And the only reason I think of that, bro, is because like I think back to like Puka Nacua mossing. I think it was Darius Slay, or maybe it was Isaiah Rodgers at that point. Great catch. It was a great catch. But then I think like if Coop's there, he might just jump up with that motherfucker and snag that shit because he's so like unrealistically athletic and talented. But I do feel you. He's a young player. You kind of, it's like the balance of like mastering a great skill that you're already talented at versus like balancing out the skill set, right? Making yourself as versatile as possible. I'll be honest with you. What I've been taught at work, maximize your best strength. Talent, maximize your strength, and go from there. Of course, you always want to be balanced, versatile. But your best strength and quality is what's going to take you the farthest. So, by that philosophy, to your point, you would just stick with Coop at the slot.
Yeah, it's here. I think it was just a perfect fit. I think you found that out from day one, from week 3, week 4, when he came in off the injury. It changed the defense. I think Vic Fangio knows that. So. Yeah, Isaiah Rodgers, Darius Slay moved on. We do have a potential hole at CB1, or at least depth in the cornerback room now. What they do there, I would just highly suggest not moving Cooper DeJean from the slots and figuring out your issues externally or through the draft or internally within the building with Kelly Ringo, right? So
I think they got some options, right? Because when you knock out in the draft last year, Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. Like, imagine if one of those guys didn't work out going into this offseason, right? And now you have all of these holes in the secondary. You got 2 mainstays there.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Your safeties are pretty locked down.
We're not sitting here with our second Lombardi.
Yeah.
Don't work out. Excuse me. I don't know if I said if I.
That's a great point as well.
Yeah, I mean, if Quinyon Mitchell is not Quinyon Mitchell on day 1 this year.
Yeah.
They do not win the Super Bowl. If Cooper
I do have a question off
recovers from the injury and Avonte Maddox is playing all year, they do not win the Super Bowl this year. It's that simple. So when you have those 2 solidified, let's keep it moving and figure out what else we need to.
I do have a question off that though. Yeah. Like, this is very, very early. Like, this is something you would ask probably going into next season, but when you look at Coop and Q and like the floor of expectations that they've created by playing so well their rookie season, winning a championship, literally. Like, is there room for disappointment? Like, what would be disappointing of a season?
I think people just have to remember that how young they are and how almost perfect they played, because there are going to be
perfect.
There are going to be moments where Quinyon Mitchell gets beat down the sideline for a big play or a touchdown. They're going to be.
It didn't happen last year, though.
It really didn't. Maybe maybe he gave up 1 touchdown.
Yeah,
I forget. Maybe I forget what it was. Terry McLaurin in the away in Washington might have scored on him, because I feel like I remember Washington fans harping on that, how Terry McLaurin scored on Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah.
So moving forward, after near perfection, after winning a Super Bowl in their rookie seasons and being such a big part of it, you just have to remember that. Like, the best of the best in the world get made to look stupid at times at the highest level. They make mistakes, right? So just on the offensive line, I know it seems so rare. Like, that would be like saying Lane Johnson never ever makes a mistake. He doesn't make a penalty. He doesn't give up any pressures. He doesn't I know it's very little, but it's like those guys are going to make mistakes. They're going to get beat at times. So when that does occur in the future, no matter how perfect things started, let's keep our heads, which I know isn't easy considering, again, we're somehow losing our minds on day 1 of free agency.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I do want to bring something else back up, because it feels like it's becoming real the more I fucking see it on Twitter, man. It's Dallas Goedert.
Oh yeah, getting moved.
Yeah, man. I don't know how to feel about it, bro. Like he's always been one of my favorite players.
Can I tell you something right now?
Yeah,
I absolutely hate it.
Yeah,
I hate the thought of it.
I feel weird for hating it. I feel like I don't know what it is. I feel weird for hating it. I feel like I should be advanced and like understand that it helps the cap or something, but
I guess so, and I understand the frustrations with the injuries in the regular season. He's a guy that is consistently hurt in the regular season.
Yeah.
But like, did we not learn our like? I feel like we spoke about this after the Green Bay touchdown in the postseason, in the Rams game, so on and so forth. The
Such
dude in our 2 Super Bowl runs, Dallas Goedert has just created a level of stability. Yeah. He's there on third downs. He's breaking tackles. He's making big plays. He's scoring touchdowns. And again, like because now I'm looking at 2025 or 2025, 2026 season. And it's like, why are we're going to create another hole then? Because now we need a tight end. Like you're going to the next season with Grant Calcaterra as wide receiver, as tight end 1. Excuse me. Like, no, you're not. So you're creating a hole there to shave a few $1 million off. And I think that would understate the importance of Dallas Goedert within this offense. The numbers aren't there in terms, like I know 2 years ago he had like 1,000 yards or close to 1,000 yards, like when everyone did, right? And that was a fantastic year, Jalen's MVP type of year. But even when the numbers aren't there, he's so important as just an option or a safety valve in the middle of the field, because when you have Dallas Goedert over in the middle, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, it makes life easier for them. And when you have those two on the outside of Dallas Goedert, now that creates mismatches on the inside for Dallas Goedert, so on and so forth. I don't need to, I like this fully loaded offense. I don't love the idea of creating that hole. So I'm very anti moving on from Dallas Goedert to save money.
Yeah, I'm with you. I saw a report of like a 4th round pick. And I'm just like, for what?
Well, because let me ask you this, right? We're trying to, in that instance, we would be making that move to shave salary, right? Well, why are we shaving salary? We're shaving salary to then use salary, right? In other areas.
Right.
Like, we're not trying to get under some like tax threshold, like the Sixers at the deadline. Like, we're trying to get under this first apron or whatever. Like, no, they're trying to open up other avenues of revenue. So, where is that money going to be better spent? What player is going to be a bigger asset on the Eagles if that money's going somewhere else?
We've seen that tight end is a very important piece. Like, to your point, the last 2 Super Bowl trips, but even with Zach Ertz, like tight end is a focal point in a good football team. Like, quite honestly, look at Travis Kelce with the Chiefs, right? Like the tight end being a focal point, a go-to guy is a key part of an offense. And the thing is, man, like if the goal is like this is a deep class of tight ends and you want to draft one, you can let Dallas Goedert play out his contract and let this guy learn behind Goddard for 1 year and then move on from Goddard, just like you did Zach Ertz a couple years ago, where once again, even in that moment where we had Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, I wasn't 100% sure about letting Zach Ertz go. But I get it. Time comes, and if you have a guy that's ready there, you do let him step into it. And I'll say this, man. I think like people saw like Grant Calcaterra this year and the big catch down the field in the Kelly Green unis, right? He's a decent receiving.
I don't know that Grant Calcaterra had a game with more than 1 reception in it.
He's not. He's not even like. You're not even factoring in the run game either. You know what I mean? Like as a blocker, like Dallas Goedert is a huge part of Saquon's success when you look at the numbers. So like,
and there's just
I think it is getting undervalued.
Like I said, I keep using the term safety valve, but
he's a culture guy too.
Super Bowl, we've seen catches on third downs, and then you have the touchdown against Green Bay. You have the big play on 3rd or 4th down in New Orleans in Week 3 to save the season. So yeah, I'm all for it. And the funny thing is I was laughing, D-Rab, because I saw this, and that is the only option where I would be okay moving. I know you said, draft somebody. This guy's different. Problem, I just wanted to check before I said something stupid. Problem is they're mocking this kid to go top 7. So
it's not gonna happen.
Pipe dream is like that would be like us like trying to get Brock Bowers last year. You know what I mean? If we had the 30 seconds,
which would have been nuts. But
right. So unless you're getting Tyler Warren,
how would you feel? How would you feel if they moved on from Goddard, but then made like a trade. Maybe you trade that same pick, that 4th round pick for Kyle Pitts or something.
That's tough, right? Because I think since Kyle Pitts has come into the league, especially fantasy wise, there's been this level of expectation every year.
Yeah.
And it's just never panned out. You have to keep in mind the situation and the quarterback play in Atlanta since he's been here.
Yeah.
But I would agree with Hunter. Like, no, like he has not lived up to those the top 5 draft pick whatsoever. So,
and I do think Dallas Goedert is a big like connector culture piece. Like I don't know. There's something about him where it feels like he's important in the locker room, but my perception could be way off there. Maybe I'm misguided, but it seems like he brings like a little bit of like fun to the locker room, filled with personalities that are like a little uptight at times, man. Yeah. So I don't know. He's just like a goofier individual, and then you got like the more serious guys like AJ and Jalen and all those guys. But I don't want to see Goddard. I understand he'll be gone one day. Like I maybe it's next season when he becomes a free agent. That makes a little bit more sense to me.
I don't
reading the comments.
Yeah, no, I got you. I don't need to shave money to dispense elsewhere. By the way, there's almost 90 people in here right now. Most of you guys seem to be watching on our Twitter channel. Do us a favor. Please do yourself a favor. See all the comments pulling up. That's the only way we can see most of your comments. We can't get them through X for the most part or here on StreamYard. So check out the YouTube page. It's in the link in our bio. Subscribe. We're pushing up to our first 200. So help us out. Help yourself out. Subscribe to the channel. But would he take less? Yeah, I mean, I would assume so. But then if you're Dallas, you know what I mean? Like, if you're Dallas, then are you the guy that's like, well, why the fuck?
Why do I have
to? Why am I taking less?
But AJ, like in reality, Jalen at the time had the highest but he took less than what he could have waited and gotten. AJ did the same thing. Smitty did the same. So like guys have made sacrifices. Like there is no reason that AJ Brown couldn't just sit back and say, no, I'm not playing until you make me the highest paid wide receiver. Like he could literally do that and find himself on another team that will pay that money to him. Similar to a Jamar Chase. I'm not saying he is the best wide receiver, but if a guy of this magnitude sits out and says, I want my fucking money, he's the guy you give him his fucking money. So I think when you look at across this team, I think there's a couple guys that have taken early payouts that have turned into pay cuts ultimately. But you see Saquon, he got his money, but once again, it takes a little pay cut this upcoming season to help the team out. So I don't know, man. I understand Goddard is like a little bit different level, I guess, but 30-year-old tight end can go both ways, man. Travis Kelce's 35. Travis Kelce's the best tight end of all time, arguably. So maybe that's an outlier. Maybe that's where where athletes are headed. I don't know. But Goddard does have the injury history, so we'll see what happens, man. I don't know. That one just catches me off guard. People that like want it.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would want it.
Yeah.
Like if it happens, you understand it, I guess. You build yourself to understand it.
I'm against it. But I trust Howie Roseman enough to do whatever comes up. So if Howie Roseman decides to move on from Dallas Goedert to shave that money, I trust and believe that Howie Roseman has a plan in place to where that money is going to be utilized. And then once the puzzle's completed, then we're probably going to sit back and go, oh, now I get it. Now I see.
Yeah.
If he doesn't trade Goddard, if they don't move off of that deal, then we're still all good. Then we have the offense that I want. So, man, that's what we got for the Eagles so far on the show. Should we move on?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think back. I mean, there's nothing else that comes to mind.
Well, we haven't signed anybody, Scotty. What the fuck?
The Commanders made a big trade for Laramie Tunsil.
That is the one thing I wanted to throw out there. They traded for Laramie Tunsil. Great. Most penalized offensive lineman in the league last year. What's he, over 30 years old now? Well, I don't know. So they bring in Laramie Tunsil. It's a good move. I don't think it's a great, like Debo was a fine move, a good move. It's not a great move. They also brought in from the Javon Kinlaw. I saw they signed Javon Kinlaw this morning. Good move.
You know what it feels like? You know what they feel like, those players? And I'm not talking about Kinlaw, really. Just Laramie Tunsil and Debo Samuel specifically. And maybe they live on and play on to prove me wrong, but they feel like consolation prizes. In an offseason you go into with a ton of money, the best wide receiver that you're going to come out of it with is Debo Samuel. Once again, it may work out.
I hear you.
Swiss Army knife, right? Running back / wide receiver. They had hopes of going out and getting like a T. Higgins, like actual wide receiver ones, and you get Debo Samuel. So once again, we'll see how it plays out. Laramie Tunsil, to your point, it's great. It's a great idea. You always want to upgrade your offensive line when you have a young quarterback. Absolutely, you want to protect his backside. Absolutely. Laramie Tunsil, is he aging? The money, like all of it, the picks you give up. I hear you could have gotten something better, right?
The Washington Commanders,
maybe
the team that went to the NFC Championship in our own division, who look like they do, like have their guy, right? They have their guy. They're making solid moves. They are a better team today than they were yesterday. They are a better team after the NFC Championship than they were in the NFC Championship game. With all of that said, the moves that they have made so far, again, if we're going to say it's day one for the Eagles, it's still technically day one for the Commanders and the rest of the league as well. They have done nothing to put them on the next level, right? They have done nothing to scare you. They have done nothing to make you think that Laramie Tunsil and Debo Samuel, well, that would have changed everything in the NFC Championship game, right? Like that. So,
and to the commenters' points, DK Metcalf, for example, for my money, is better than Debo Samuel.
You think?
Like DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin, that would be a little scary, right?
Like, Adams and Terry McLaurin, even at this point of Tay's career.
Devontae Adams,
across from him,
tough.
1,000%, man. 1,000%. So
it's interesting.
But that's where I was going to wrap things up. Was they're making fine moves. They're making good moves. They're a better team. But Myles Garrett, he's not an Eagle, but he's not a Washington Commander. He's staying put in Cleveland. The two guys, or all the guys that have left us, but specifically, on our defensive line, and Milton Williams and Josh Sweat. You sent me the article this morning. This is where those fan bases and those people piss me off. They're in the running to bring both Sweat and Milton Williams want to play together, and the Commanders have the money, and they're linked to Sweat, so maybe they're linked to Williams. Well, neither of them go there, and neither of them go to a contender. One's out in the AFC with the Patriots. One's on Jonathan Gannon's defense with the Cardinals. Slay went out in the AFC. Rodgers with the Vikings, whatever. So the guys the Eagles have lost, they haven't gone anywhere that's going to, make me lose sleep. They haven't gone to a place where they can bite us in the ass in the future. The money they've been given isn't going to make me lose sleep. So I am fine with what's going on.
Martian and D-Ram got me just dying in the comments, man. They're on their shit today. But no, I completely agree with you, man. It'll be interesting. I think at the end of the day, to your point, the only one that, once again, surprised me a little bit, not from a dollar standpoint, but just the fact that we didn't bring him back. But then also going to the Vikings. Vikings are, they're almost on the shit list, kind of on the shit list. But, seeing Isaiah Rodgers go to an NFC, are they a contender? I don't know. Sam Darnold went to Seattle, so it's JJ McCarthy's team. Are they a contender? I don't know what the Vikings are.
Not from what I understand, right? Mr. Plugged In over here. No, from what I've heard on television, Articles I've read is that no, it's not JJ McCarthy's team right just yet. They want a veteran presence in there, and they were trying to get Sam Darnold back. So we'll see where they end up going from there. Been a lot.
Has Aaron
Rodgers
gone anywhere?
Right? What'd you say?
Aaron Rodgers? Has he gone anywhere yet?
No, not yet. But the New York Giants staying right in New York, New Brunswick, going to East Rutherford. Excuse me, going to the Giants potentially would be fun. Would be hilarious. Hey! Draft Travis Hunter. Get Aaron Rodgers in the building.
Malik Neighbors.
Oh boy.
Oh, the Giants. Oh, man. There would be some talent in there. Don't get me wrong. Travis Hunter and Malik Neighbors. That would be a little exciting for sure.
I cannot make sense of this contract for you because as Scotty knows, as you may know, as anyone that has watched Turf Talk for the last 4 years, I am not a Justin Fields guy. That organization is an absolute disaster. Obviously, everything that has taken place the last 2 years, you finally decide you're going to move on from Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams leaves, goes to the Rams, and your quarterback solution is to give Justin Fields, $20 million a year? I think it's 2 for 40.
40 for 2 years.
Yeah, so Justin Fields now the guy in East Rutherford with the Jets. That's great.
Garrett Wilson. He has Garrett Wilson to thank for that contract, man. Because it has to be something with them playing at Ohio State together, right? Like that has to be,
I guess so,
where the confidence comes from. Because he played decently for Pittsburgh last year, but like $20 million a year. I don't know if that's just where the market. What's Kenny Pickett getting?
You'd have to think Russ is going back to Pittsburgh now, right? With the DK sign and trade and extension.
I saw a video of Ben Roethlisberger.
What, dude?
I swear to God, he had a Pittsburgh Steelers helmet on talking about coming out of retirement, dude. I swear I saw it, Dylan. Ben Roethlisberger. Big Ben.
Oh, is this real? Did Kenny Pickett left us?
Oh, did he?
Let's see.
To the Browns.
Let me check.
Is that real life?
Let me check X over here.
Tanner McKee's time. Yeah, Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett.
We traded him.
Yeah, to the Cleveland Browns for a fifth round pick.
Oh, for a fifth and DTR.
DTR.
All right, so Davis and Garrett.
Wow.
The Eagles are able to trade Pickett, make Tanner McKee the number 2, and get a backup QB from beyond that, and they get a fifth for it. So
I can mess with that. Yeah,
that is fine with me.
Thank you, Kenny.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, the dude got snaps in a fucking Super Bowl. So
yeah,
thank you.
What did we trade for him? Was it a fifth round pick?
What? Oh, that we traded for Kenny?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so, because Fields was a third round pick, and I think Pickett was just a little bit less. That's why we
something like that.
Were able to side with it, but
please make sense of Myles Garrett's decision. I can make sense of it, buddy. That one I can make sense of. I mean, whenever someone says there's no number, there's always a number.
There's a number. And that number would have got me for sure.
Yeah, you're going to throw $40 million per at somebody. I'll lose every football game for the rest of my life. Like, you want to question my spirit? Dude, I saw someone, our friend, obviously former DSM, Phil, put out a video and a tweet talking about, it's very easy to question someone's character or whatever. If someone throws $40 million at you, you're taking that money. Yeah. I saw like an Eagles account comment back and forth with Phil and saying, I work a 9 to 5. I was ass in high school, but if I was lucky enough to play in the NFL, I'd only play for my Eagles or no one else. I'd work my 9 to 5, if not the Eagles. Okay. Oh, fucking. What are you, 7? What are you, like, are you 13? Like, do you actually work a 9 to 5? Like, what are you talking about?
Come on, man.
I wouldn't play in the NFL making millions of dollars and playing a kid's game. I'd work my miserable 9 to fucking 5 if I wasn't on my Philadelphia Eagles, my favorite team. Are you out of like?
There's a balance to everything, man. Like if you're Myles Garrett at this point in your career with the Browns, You had those years where you kind of competed, right? When Baker Mayfield was there, they had a little bit of excitement, maybe a playoff trip or two. He got drafted to the Cleveland Browns, man. Yeah. And sometimes you are doomed from the moment that you're drafted when it comes to a winning perspective. And in Miles' case, he built himself up to this perennial all-pro player, one of the best in the NFL when it comes to defensive players. The Browns are the ones that can offer him that contract. He's got to take that, man. That's life-changing money. Like, that's not
that
like,
is
set for life. It's like generational money. You know what I mean?
That is you, your kids,
grandkids,
your great-grandkids. I don't know how much further I got to go.
Yeah.
I've never been around that type of money. I've never been around millions. So I don't know what kind of level that gets you to. I know that gets you to levels, plural.
Yeah.
And does he want to look when we were talking about last week? Would he take a little bit less to win at this point? He's never done it. Yes. If the number was like the Browns were offering him 22, 25.
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
Eagles offered him 18, 19 a year, and he could come try to win a Super Bowl a couple years, then 40 per? No. Nobody's turning that down.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Like jokes saying, like, if I sign that contract, I'd agree to play in all the preseason games, every snap, and lose every game of my life.
Dude, the Browns offered the contract.
Yeah.
You got to take it. Like, the only thing I would question is if they're idiots for giving that amount of money in their situation.
Yeah, you are, because you're nowhere close.
Like, you're close.
Nowhere close.
This is a championship team. You're paying to keep ticket sales. That's what you're paying for. People that love Myles Garrett. If you trade Myles Garrett, they might protest the Browns. Like,
didn't they make a quarterback move already?
I want to say yes.
Yeah, like I feel like they signed somebody, and people were like, "Oh, great!" They went from Deshaun Watson to. Why am I drawing a blank on? I could be way off, but I feel like I saw like last week or a couple days ago they signed.
You're right.
Like Geno went to the Raiders.
Let me see really quick. Browns QB. Let's see.
Am I just absolutely off my rocker right now? Someone let me know in the comments. As Scotty Googles and does the research.
Surprising QB update. No,
they didn't do anything.
I'm seeing that they were with speculation they were going to draft a young quarterback. I saw like Cam Ward or something like that. But now there's like second guesses that they're even going to do that. So,
like obviously, like we know they just traded Kenny there, but like,
yeah. So I guess
I don't know. I could have sworn
you got Deshaun Watson. The second Achilles tear. I don't know how that's going to work out.
That is true. Craig, what's going on, my man?
They had Baker Mayfield. You remember that?
You remember those days? Remember when Baker got them to the playoffs for the first time in like our lifetime? And then they were like, nah, he's done. And then like no one wanted him. And then he went to the Rams and still couldn't do anything there.
That's a crazy career arc for Baker, for sure.
DJ Reed to the Lions. Yes, I believe I just saw that as well, Martian.
It's a good pickup.
Lions have made a couple moves that I
saw Godwin. Like, he could have got like extra money if he went to the Patriots, but he decided to go back to the Bucs.
I know the Patriots did sign Carlton Davis, so he's out of Detroit.
Interesting.
But all right, let's shift gears here. Obviously, I know we've talked enough Eagles and NFL for the day. Slay, good riddance. We talked about Slay on Friday, obviously. Bye-bye. Enjoy Pittsburgh. But hey, Pittsburgh's I like what Pittsburgh's doing so far. If they do bring back Russ or do something quarterback wise, then I like what they've got on. But PG wore a Sixers shirt when the Sixers came to see him in Cali. PG and the Sixers were also at Friday Night SmackDown in Philadelphia last Friday. And they got booed. They got booed in the Wells Fargo Center in the arena in which they play. By obviously Philly fans. And it was so bad that when the WWE took the clip to post Sixers in the house, they had to turn it into a GIF, or GIF, whatever it was.
I thought they automated cheers on the video.
No. They turned it into a GIF where so you can't. There's no audio to it, and it's just this repeating thing. Yeah. So they didn't want to post the actual clip because they got booed. That's how bad the organization is going at the moment. They did win. You are right. They can't even fucking tank properly. It looks like Tyrese Maxey and other seasons are starting to come to an end. But the reason we bring that up, and we're not going to talk about them for long, at least we don't think, but we wanted to get this little rant out today. And I know Martian and some of you guys like to rant about the Sixers no matter how miserable they make us. But Daryl Morey couldn't stay out of the headlines or media over the weekend. No matter how bad things continue to go for this team. He basically talks about what, Scotty? How Sixers fans have surprised them and how angry they are.
We're so angry. We're just fueled by anger.
And he goes back to a few seasons ago when we were up 3-2 with a lead in Game 6 against the Celtics, almost going and cracking through to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time. But my favorite part, I had the article next to me. My favorite part about him is saying this: objectively, people should feel better about that. Then the next season, we had a very entertaining Knicks series, almost famously entertaining. He said, I think it was voted best series that year. And for me, it was just stressful. But for everyone else, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's very stressful. And we lost in 6 games, to a Knicks team that was not as good as the Celtics team we lost to the year before. And I was very down after that loss. And I was like, man, people are going to be so angry. And they were angry. Obviously, everyone wants us to win. But they were less angry, yes, than the year before. And anger is all that drives Sixers fans. All right. I know, I know this dude did not come out and praise his organization for having an entertaining series loss in the first goddamn round of the postseason to a New York rival. I know he didn't do that, right? This is a made-up article, Scotty. This didn't happen.
Oh, no, it's in video format.
Oh, it happened. Oh, okay. So we're all cool with Daryl Morey being gone after this year, right? Have you reached that point, or am I taking it too far? Because we have sat here and we have talked about Eagles, Super Bowl winning, Super Bowl champion players. We have talked about them reading a room.
Yeah.
Not adding oxygen, not adding fuel, gasoline to the fire. Just read the room. And this idiot, the guy who has to be the most professional, not the athletes, not the players, not the frustrated guys, the president of basketball ops, the guy that has to always be buttoned up with everything he says.
Yeah.
He wants praise, essentially, for an entertaining last 2 years.
Yeah.
And we're just an angry fucking crowd.
Yeah. I think it is. I think it's what Martian said here. And I think it's him kind of reading the writing that's on the wall, and that his time it's limited here in Philadelphia. And whether it's this offseason or the next, he won't be here long term. And I think it just speaks to the issue at hand. Yes, to be clear, after this season or during this season, yeah, I've kind of been 1 foot in, 1 foot out on Daryl Morey, because on one hand, when you specifically look at what he did last offseason, it's everything that I wanted, right? Yep. But it ended up wrong. So I don't know if we're allowed to hold him accountable for that or not. But then I combine that with the fact that you let James Harden go. You traded him, walk out the door, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And I just watched James Harden go off for 50 points the other night.
In a game we bet against him.
The game we bet against.
Mind you,
I have
Scotty,
not watched Paul George do anything close to that.
Mind you, in part of what he said in this statement is going back to that Celtics 3-2 season in which James Harden was one of the biggest proponents of that series.
You wouldn't just give him the money he wanted, but you'll give the supermax contract to Paul George.
Right.
So whether I was wrong last offseason, once again, I've said this before on the show, I was wrong. Daryl Morey was wrong. It's Daryl Morey's job, not mine.
Yes.
You add this on top of it, and I'll say this as well, man. I think this specifically speaks to the disconnect because you don't have a GM that understands this city at all. Where you have Howie Roseman, right? Howie Roseman understands.
Yep.
This GM, Daryl Morey, he does not fit in. He's a dork. Like, let's be honest. Like, the hardworking blue-collar mentality of Philadelphia does not fit, like, dorky analytics with Daryl Morey. No. And I know that sounds kind of, like, dumb almost in a sense, like, oh, you don't want your team to operate off of numbers and efficiency. And, like, yes, you do to a certain extent. Analytics guys that you bring in that fit the identity of the city as well. And you know what the biggest problem is and what, really strings a nerve or strucks a nerve, whatever the fucking word is for that. It really hits a nerve for me that we watch guys that are built for Philadelphia play up in New York City. That really bothers me. And I think that's a very toxic thing when it comes to like the Knicks and the Sixers and getting kicked out of the postseason last year by the Knicks, and then watching what the Knicks did in the offseason versus what we did and where we are now versus the Knicks.
Yep.
It's very frustrating to watch a Josh Hart who played at fucking Villanova ball out and play hard as fuck blue-collar basketball for the New York Knicks. It's hard to watch Mikal Bridges play for the fucking New York Knicks when you draft. It's not Daryl Morey, it's the organization. But you know what I mean. Like, that's we have a toxic relationship with the Knicks. It's not the Knicks' fault. It's really our own ownership, organizational failures that this result came to.
Right, but and I'm glad you said
Daryl Morey, read a room. That's the main thing. He can't read the room.
It starts at the top with ownership and Josh Harris, and then it trickles down to him. And like you said, look, I could have extended the leash up until this point. Like, reading the room is the bare minimum of what you have to do. Just keep your fucking mouth shut, if I'm being honest.
It started with the All-Star Weekend comments, bro. Like, this is a championship team if you just squint a little bit. Like,
and then we went on the biggest losing streak of the season. Following that, we hadn't won a game in like nine straight. I would say this. You are right. We applauded every single move he made this offseason. We were so fucking ecstatic, and I think 95% of this fan base was ecstatic. And if the other 5% weren't, if they were still being negative, it wasn't because of the moves. It wasn't because they had a magic ball that they could foresee all this. It was just they were already fed up with this organization, that nothing they did at the moment was going to turn it around unless winning was an option or like came through. The one thing that happened behind closed doors is the one thing that is killing this franchise moving forward. And that's the problem with all this. It's not necessarily the Paul George max extension.
Yeah.
It's not the misses on the vets in Eric Gordon, in Andre Drummond, and some of these other moves. In fact, he's hit some diamonds in the roughs. Gershon Yabusele is a great pickup. Yeah. Justin Edwards, undrafted. Jared McCain, right? Yeah. He's hit.
Tyrese Maxey.
Right. You knowingly extended the big fella with what's going on right now. Behind closed, no one knew about that. That was kept a secret. Like, we applauded all the moves, but the one thing we did not know is that Joel Embiid's career is literally up in limbo, because at the time, I'm watching the dude win a gold medal. I'm watching him be a key part defensively for Team USA. I have no fucking clue. He may never be able to play or play effectively again. You guys did. You consulted with multiple doctors, with Joel, and you gave him a 5-year super max extension this very same time. That's on you.
Yeah. because you've screwed us like beyond years here. Like the Paul George contract was one thing, but then the extension with Embiid, I mean, we're cooked. We're cooked. I mean, if Embiid is done, we're cooked.
Where he's never right again. There's a world. I don't want it to be true. I do not want it to be true for him personally. For Sixers, like I love. Like there was a point in time, this dude was my favorite athlete on the planet. Just because of this injury, doesn't knock him down. That like we get it. I still love Joel Embiid, right? And I want the best for Joel Embiid and Sixers basketball. But there's a world where he's never right again. That is fucked beyond belief. The next 5 to 7 years, we will be in the new arena by the time Joel Embiid's contract ends. That's how bad it is.
Well, that's how confused they are as an organization. They're not doing the new arena anymore. They renewed the deal with Comcast, and they're just.
Oh yeah, but aren't they building something to get? Like, aren't they?
Was that like what the plan changed?
I think like I think they they're building something new still, like down there. Like I think so. I could be way off, but
down by where the sports complexes are now.
Yeah. I think, but
we shall see. Yeah, nonetheless,
5 years. Yeah, let me just.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think like at the end of the day, when Daryl Morey sees, like, I'm just gonna check game time right now.
So, Martian, my bad. He signed a 3-year extension, but I believe he had 2 more on. Right, Scotty? Is that correct?
Yeah, like he had an extension on top of what he already had on his contract.
Like so Joel Embiid is here through 2030. Looking at it right now. He has an annual hit the next 3 years after this year of $59.5 million, $64.3 million, and over $69 million in 2028, 2029, with a player option at that point, though.
Yeah, 35-year-old Embiid.
Yeah,
it's fucking disgusting. And I'm telling you, bro, you look at Daryl Morey. He sees these ticket prices right now. And you just know Josh Harris has to be fuming. Like how aren't you? Like he's a money hungry piece of shit. Like he has to be fuming. Because I mean the tickets for Friday, Pacers, $7. The next one, $2. The next one, $7, $2, $3, $17. And then the end of the season. And I don't blame it. I have not gone to a game this year. I held off early on because the Eagles were playing so well. I wanted to go to one of their games. Didn't go early on, and of course I'm not. Because it says like $7. Like it'll end up being like maybe $15, $20, maybe $30, and you're down in the 100.
I got news. We said this last week.
You spent $30 on the parking on drinks. I'm not interested, dude.
Everybody stop going. I don't care. I don't care if they were free. I don't care if they're $2 with no fees.
No.
Stop going. Show no signs of support for this team because you show up knowing you're about to witness a shitty product. You show up in your gear. Hell, I'm wearing the hat still. You wear the gear. You buy the gear. Like you said, you're buying concessions. You're paying for parking. All of that. Yeah. Stop going. I don't care if it's for free or not. That's it. That puts it an end to this season for me, man. And I will not watch Sixers game for the rest of the year. And that's the sad thing. And I haven't watched one, if I'm being fucking honest, since the beginning of January, I don't think. Middle of January.
Because I'm not watching a team to lose, like, and hoping that they lose. Like, that's not fun for me.
And this isn't, you're a fair weather fan. You only watch when the teams are good, right?
No, it's about the product, man.
Yeah, this is a different. This is about the message. This is about the lies. This is about the way the direction the organization is going. Right. This isn't just my team's mediocre and I give up on them and call me when they make the playoffs in 4 years and I'll be tuned back in. Like, no, this isn't none of that. This is how poorly ran you are. This is the owner. This is Daryl Morey. This is all of it. So
it's the Joel Embiid bullshit, the Paul George injuries and sitting out randomly and. Just randomly really deciding when we're going to play these guys this season and the whole anonymous situation of it all. Like, we don't even get any insight, any context. There was no transparency between the organization and the fans this year. And just imagine if you bought season tickets, man. Like, like, ew. You can't even pay your kids to go to this shit. Like,
this can't be correct, right? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I'm not trying to cut you off.
No,
not trying to cut you off. I'm scrolling Twitter here, looking at the updates. Pro Football Talk put out an article an hour ago. There's, quote, no deal yet for CB Darius Slay in Pittsburgh. He remains under contract with the Eagles, but has permission to speak to other teams regarding a potential trade. Is that because, like, his release doesn't hit effect until a certain date or something?
Yeah, I guess. Like, it's like one of those things, like, how bad do you want him? Because if you want him before this date, before he actually hits the open market.
Right. Maybe.
Damn, the Eagles have granted permission to Dallas Goedert to seek a trade out of Philadelphia.
Really?
That's from Inside the Birds, Kaplan. I just don't understand that.
We'll continue to see what goes on.
You wait and see. I'm not gonna point fingers with Howie Roseman. He knows what he's doing, but
well, I mean, if we get any type of trade asset for Darius Slay, then that's just a classic Howie move.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll see.
Yeah, Marcia. And the Saquon Barkley press conference today, that wasn't just like random. Like, they did that for a reason. They did that purposefully for us to be patient and have like something to look at, right? Something to take our attention off of what's happening.
They stay hush hush. But
some of this will hurt, man. Some of it will hurt. But
before we get out of here, guys, and I don't know how many of you follow it, but I love it. And I know Scotty obviously has major expectations for it. And, you know, Selection Sunday isn't for 6 more days, but it is conference tournament week. And there are a couple conference tournaments that are already taking place and are over. There's 4 automatic bids already qualified for next week's tournament. You ready for these names, Scotty? You tell me. I have an idea. Because I have bet and watched one of these teams a decent amount this year, for who I would say has the better chance to go on a Cinderella run. Of these first 4, I'm going to throw you 4 names. From the A-Sun, we have Lipscomb. From the Big South Conference, we have High Point. From the Missouri Valley Conference, we have Drake. And from Ohio Valley, for the first time ever, SIUE. Makes the tournament. And then last night in the Summit League, Omaha gets in. They got in by default anyway because St. Thomas, who they played, was not eligible for the tournament this year, I guess, transition period. Which, by the way, I was going to say this to you before. If there's ever a situation with those teams where they're being punished or they are transitioning from like D2 to D1, if you're not eligible for March Madness, you shouldn't be eligible for your conference tournament.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't make sense, right?
Like you play, like, obviously you're playing the year, you have a chance to win the regular season. You know what I mean? You're the regular season champs if you win the conference. You shouldn't get a spot in the conference tournament because now you're blocking X, Y, and Z on the path, or a team that could have gotten in and went on a run. And then if I don't even remember the ending of last night's game. I think Omaha won outright. I forget. But even if they didn't, if St. Thomas beat them last night, Omaha was getting the automatic bid because St. Thomas couldn't get in. So that's stupid. But if I gave you those 5 names, throw a dart, Scotty. Hit me with one of the teams that can make a little bit of a Sweet 16 maybe. Could win a first day game.
Dylan, you're making
an idea.
Yeah, you're putting me on the spot here, brother.
I'll lend you. Well, not even. I'll lend you.
Lend me some guidance. Lend me some guidance here.
No, if I had to pick, man, they're super good defensively. They're slow as all hell. They're methodical. They shoot, I think, top 40 or top 50 in the nation field goal percentage wise. That's Drake. I think, let me just make sure. I think they were like 24-6 or 24-8 in the regular season this year. They won their conference tournament. And those are the teams like they and St. Mary's isn't necessarily one of these smaller teams. St. Mary's been in the tournament quite often, but like those teams that are slow and methodical and play great defense are the teams that they can throw you off your game in a one and done spot, because if shots aren't falling and you can't get out in transition like you might normally want to, tension starts to rise, pressure starts to build, and these teams are just dude, like Drake will legitimately use 28 seconds of every shot clock if they want to.
Yeah, see, and that's it. It's not a bad like scheme to use if you're like a lower level team like that. We've seen teams have success at a higher level like Virginia that tend to do that type of stuff too. But no, it is interesting because all it takes is for one of the higher seeded teams have a bad shooting day on top of the defensive prowess, and then all of a sudden you have a game. And then, as we know, pressure does burst pipes. Like when you get into tight situations to close games, that's when you find out who's really made for it. So yeah, I do. From a standpoint of you understanding like how good they are defensively and the makeup of their team, I mean that makes sense to me as well. But
so they were 30-3 this year. That's including their play in conference tournament. So 30-3. I just know this from seeing their betting lines often. Dude, their totals sit at like 123.5, 127.5 because they legitimately play so slow. There's only so many possessions in a game when they take care of the ball and they're using all that shot clock and shooting efficiently. Like these, like some of their scores get up there. Like they have games in the high 70s, maybe low 80s from time to time. But 64-57, 66-59, 66-62, 69-62, 66-52, 55-45. These are the types of games they play and win. So depending on who they could draw in the first round. And again, we're just going off of the first 5 automatic bids that have been announced by today. There's going to be many others that, the people don't know of and have never heard of and maybe never made a tournament before. But it'll be interesting to see who they pull in round 1. I could see Drake being like a 7 seed maybe and getting a 10. And I know 10-7 is a little bit of one of those numbers, right? What is it? 5-12 and 7-10 are like the two numbers they look at, like, where 10s and 12s can upset. Yeah. So it'll be interesting, man. But yeah, like look, they won their semifinal game. Well, here's what they did in conference tournament play. 70-53, 57-50, 63-48. That's the type of basketball they play. So
that's interesting. No, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to get my bracket together, obviously, over this weekend, which is exciting. But I think the big thing here is just everybody get involved with our little bracket tournament we got going on.
Yeah, so I already made it on the ESPN Bracket Challenge. I can share the link.
I need to go join myself.
Yeah. Obviously, the Selection Sunday is still 6 days away, 6 p.m. I can't wait to tune in. So that night, Monday, start to get your brackets in with us. I'll post it on our Twitter. We'll get it out to all social media platforms.
Yes,
I'll post the link on the YouTube in the comments. But join. We don't know what we're going to do yet. We're going to decide over the week, so stay tuned for that. Whether it's going to be $5 entries and the winner takes all or whatever, 10, whatever we want to do money wise, or if we make it a little, you subscribe, you don't pay anything for entry besides the YouTube subscription, and the winner gets a cash prize or a gift from or whatever, a prize from us or something like that. So we're going to
iron it out,
figure it out. But D-Rab, obviously, I'll have Scotty shoot you over that link personally. Martian, if you want to join it, any others. There's 100 people in here right now. Again,
we'll
not all watching on YouTube. You're not even all close to watching on YouTube. Do yourself a favor. Do us a favor. Head on over to the YouTube channel. Fuck, it's YouTube. It's free. It's better. It's a better viewing experience. You can get your comments and your thoughts pulled up with us. It helps us continue to grow. We're here 3-4 times a week. Philly season's around the corner, so we'll have more Phillies pre-games coming your way shortly. March is here. It's an exciting time, man. Is there anything else that you have tonight? We can give out a bet if we want. We can do that this week.
Luke plus 320 to win the Natty.
Oh, I like it. What's their odds to get? Well, if they're 320 to get to the Natty, what are they to get to the Final Four?
I want to say it was when I first looked last week, and I want to say it was like minus 150.
Jesus Christ!
I might be wrong. It might be the Elite Eight for that, but I'm pretty sure it was Final Four, bro.
Hold on. before we wrap up. Is that real?
Let's see. Futures. If we could load.
Team futures. There we go. To make the final. Yeah, minus 150. And Auburn is a minus 140. And then you get others at plus chicken. But that's not even worth it. Plus
teams versus the field, though. Duke and Auburn, plus 175. I do like that one as well.
To win it?
I mean,
I think it's one of the first years, or at least in recent memory, where that's where I would lean.
Yeah.
Like
it
most
just feels
time,
like they are not light years
ahead. I would say fuck no. You know what I mean? Like no shot. I think they are clearly the best two teams in the nation. I'm not even saying this because you're a Duke fan, and I've watched a lot of Duke basketball in my life, personally, family wise. I think they're the best team in the nation. I think they have the best player in the nation. I think they're very well rounded and balanced on both sides of the floor.
Yeah.
Evans, like they just have dudes that on any given day, right? Like you have Cooper Flag, right? Like I get that. It's Cooper fucking Flag, best player on the floor every game. But you have a guy in Mason Gillis who could pop off from three in any tournament game. He could come off the bench and hit 5 threes. Yeah. You have a guy in Con Knipple. You have the freshman in Evans that could hit 7 threes. Like that type of guard play or that type of 3-point shooting that can get electric like that. Plus, they're so good defensively. They're a problem.
Bro.
Auburn's in the same boat. Very, very well balanced. Janai Broome might win the Wooden Player of the Year award. He's right there. Obviously, he's the senior. Cooper's the freshman. Their resume, obviously, because of how good the SEC was this year, like quad 1 and all that stuff, it's high. It's better than Duke's. It's more padded than Duke's. I just don't think they're better than Duke. Like if you gave me that national championship today, I would pick Duke to beat Auburn right now. It's
a matchup thing, man, because you look at what Auburn does, and they have a very good team, obviously led by Janai Broome. But when you look around the tournament, right, or the teams that are going to be in the tournament, who has better options to defend him than the Duke Blue Devils? I mean, there's a lot of talk about Kamen Malawach, who's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft this year, but Malik Brown off the bench, bro. He just came back against UNC from like a shoulder dislocation, and he's just a complete game changer for them. He can switch everything. He can guard guards. He hit 2 threes in that game in clutch moments, so he's showing the ability to spread the floor. They just have like so many different ways they can beat you, because with Malik Brown you can go small ball in a sense, right? I say small ball, they're the tallest team in the country by metrics, literally from point guard to center, right? You got Proctor, who's like 6'4", 6'5" at the point guard. You got Sion James, who's 6'5", stocky as fuck at like shooting guard / point guard. Con Knipple's like 6'7", Cooper Flag 6'10". So you go up the chain, man. They got a lot of different ways to beat you, but I think the one area that you could in the past argue against Duke is experience, right? Because they always have a bunch of young guys coming in, but with this transfer portal shit, you're getting a guy like Mason Gillis, to your point, who's a 4th or 5th year senior. Sion James, a 4th or 5th year senior. Malik
Purdue
Brown,
was just in what? Did Purdue go to the Natty last year?
Purdue, I'm pretty sure they won, right? Like Edie, they won.
Are you right? Why am I?
They won the national championship.
UConn won back to back.
Klingon, so Klingon held down.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I do remember them going back to back. You're right. Why do I feel like Purdue?
I know they were in the Final Four, and I'm pretty sure they beat NC State in the Final Four. No.
Maybe that's where I'm getting confused.
So I think Purdue went to the Natty. I think it was Purdue. Am I
played
wrong?
UConn?
Yeah. But I know UConn won it. They went back to back with Danny Harris.
Yeah, Purdue's never won a national championship. You're right. I don't know why I had that in my mind as they won, but maybe it is just because of NC State, because NC State knocked Duke out last year, and then they played.
They had that big bull. I
can't even remember his name now.
Me neither.
That's crazy. Just like that.
He's playing overseas somewhere.
Just like that, you can be.
But the point is, Mason Gillis went to a national championship last year.
Yeah.
So when you talk about experience and the transfer portal, these guys do have that. And like, why are we acting like Auburn's just been to like 2 straight Final Fours or something? Because they haven't.
Right.
So like,
who's the team you look at
with deep runs?
Who's the team like? Just I know we'll get into it more as we get past like Selection Sunday and such, but who's the team outside of those two guys that your mind instantly gravitates to as a chance, like the next best chance?
I like it.
Florida,
Houston's so good defensively, and they actually shoot the 3-ball really well, which is like weird for them in the past couple of years. I feel like, I just feel like something's going to happen with Houston. Not that they're not going to make a good run, but like Sweet 16, Elite 8. I won't say Sweet 16. I won't do them that dirty, but Elite 8 maybe is where their run stops. I do like Florida a lot. Florida has like a couple, like I think they've lost to Kentucky. They lost to Georgia. Like they have a couple of head scratching losses. But when I look for teams that can make a run, man, and it's similar to what Duke and Auburn have. Do you have size, and do you have guard player guys that can knock down, that can just be electric from 3?
Yeah.
And Florida has size, like multiple 7-footers, and they have a 3-guard platoon or 3. They start 3 guards. That can all kill you from 3, and they can all take games over. I love Florida. That brings me to my point when you're figuring out your bracket this year. So I would go with Florida. I think would be my like official pick. I want to say St. John's and Patino, and they're so good defensively.
That's where my mind went. Yeah, St. John's and Bama.
Let me throw these 2 names at you. They both have legendary head coaches. They're both very, very good defensively. They both will or are probably going to win their conference tournaments. They both have won their regular season conferences. But they shoot the 3-ball inconsistently. St. John's and Michigan State. Dude, Michigan State is so fucking good. But they're so inconsistent from 3.
Yeah.
And if they fall in love with it in a moment in a tournament game, could cause you issues. Same thing with St. John's. They're inconsistent from 3. And sometimes they'll shoot sub 30% from 3 in games. And I don't know if that'll kill them. But I will say this, I believe there's 7 or 8 teams, Scotty, in Ken Palm. It's top like something offense and top something defense. And it's been this way for like the last like 20 national champions or 15 national champions or something like that. They've all fit these 2 molds. And of those teams, I know it's Duke, Auburn, Houston, Iowa State's in there, Clemson's in there. I want to say Florida, but I could be wrong. I'll have to find the 7 or 8 official teams for you, but just remember that when you're filling out your bracket, like over the last 2 decades, basically, the national champion has fit these 2 metrics, and there's only 7 teams that fit those 2 metrics heading into the tournament. So,
what are the metrics?
It's like top 20 defense and top 20 offense in Ken Palm, or what? Maybe not 20, maybe it's 40, whatever it is. They're inside those.
That's 2 interesting. Because I remember, I don't know if this is accurate up to date, but about 2 weeks ago during a Duke broadcast, I believe it was announced that Duke is the only one that is in the top 5 or top 3 in the nation in offense and defense.
In both. Yeah, they might be. Yeah.
Both. So once again, just praising my Blue Devils. But to answer your question, out of those 2 teams that you mentioned, St. John's, Michigan State, I think I would lean St. John's.
Yeah.
Just with the talent upside, I guess you would say. Like, I know Michigan State's got some guys over there, but RJ Lewis, like, who's the big boy for St. John's? He had the game winner the other night. He's pretty solid in the middle for him. Is it Ejiofor or something like that? Something like that. But
that game winner over Marquette was nuts too, because Marquette got the rebound.
I had St. John's in that game too, so that shit had my blood pumping in that one.
The board and got stripped in the paint, turning the other way, and literally just
St. John's for me though. I think I have a little bit of like inclination towards them in a sense, because like for me all season they've been a team where if I see them as like an underdog or plus money, they're a team I was looking at as like I might take this. You know what I mean? Like anytime they were plus money. So I don't know. I've been kind of riding with them a good bit this season, I feel.
Let me tell you a team that I loved since the beginning of this year because of the transfer portal. They're a top 20 ranked team. I think they're like top 16 even now. But I think I've seen them be like reviewed as like anywhere from a 7 to 10 seed, which is crazy to me. I love, and I'm probably going to be way off. They'll be a first round exit. I like Memphis a lot, dude. Not like to win the, I'm not saying that. I like Memphis.
I did like them early on, man.
I like Memphis to like get to at least like the Sweet 16. I like them to win 2 games, I think. They have two bigs in guard play. They have 2 bigs from the transfer portal, both of which have experience because they brought in Dane Danger, who's an offensive on the block guy because he was Illinois last year when Illinois made that run. And then Cisse. Is Cisse from UConn? Am I fucking that up? Musa Cisse?
Let me see really quick. Yeah, because I remember seeing him. No, he's from Mississippi, Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State.
Interesting enough, he started at Memphis.
He's a big shot blocker and lob threat.
Yeah.
So you have the offensive guy in Dane Danger, who's on the block, good footwork, can score down low. And then you have Cisse, who's like a defensive guy, can catch lobs. And then they have guards and shooters, bro. Tyrese Hunter and PJ
Hunter is the one I like.
Yeah, he's from Texas, and they made a little bit of a run with him. And PJ Haggerty's a dog. So they're a team, man. I'm gonna be interested to see what bracket they end up in.
Penny Hardaway.
And who they end up getting in that first round. Because if they're an 8 seed and they get an 8-9 matchup, that shit's so annoying.
It's funny, man. I've rode with Memphis a good bit at the beginning of the season, and then they like fell off a little bit.
Bit, but they're still a really good team, bro.
Yeah.
Like they are, hold on.
26-5.
Yeah, and they're ranked 16th in the latest on the score app in their latest poll, which I know has changed because this has Duke 2 and Auburn 1, and I know Duke went up to number 1, I believe. Or was that Fanta's poll? That might have been John Fanta's poll I saw.
It's just their conference, man. Their conference is just horrible.
Yeah, I know. Is that they're in with like USF and shit, right? And
American Athletic Conference.
Yeah. So it does. It does.
Like,
it does
you know what I mean?
Yo, bro, I'm trying to give out a sneaky good pick.
No, I love the pick, man. Like I said, I watched a good bit of them early on. They got some talented kids that, you'll see these kids get drafted in the NBA draft, and you're not going to really know who they are, and then all of a sudden they're scoring, 25 points in the NBA. So they got those type of guys where maybe the wins didn't translate, but they did win 26 games. It's just the fact they're in the AAC, bro. Like, I don't know. It's the odds and where they're placed when it comes to seed projections that makes you second guess them, but.
I'm excited. Oh, Maryland is one of those teams that's inside those rankings as well. I can never get behind Maryland in the tournament, bro. And I know this year could be different. I can't do it.
Brother, I know this might be completely off base, but what about Rutgers?
Oh, they're not even going to make it.
They're not going to make it?
No.
I
know why you asked. They had so much attention coming into the year.
The 2 players.
Ace Bailey and
Dylan Hunter.
Harper is it?
Dylan Harper.
Yeah.
Dylan Harper.
Yeah, no. And I believe they started off the year pretty good. There's
2 top 5 picks.
2 teams as well in the Big Ten that aren't going to make it. That I remember Penn State's not going to make it, and I remember Penn State started the year like 12-2.
Yeah, they were hot.
They're not going to make it, and dude, Nebraska was had like a 93% odds of making the tournament like 2 weeks ago. They haven't won a game since, and they're not eligible for the Big Ten tournament now. Like they didn't make the Big Ten tournament.
So they're cooked. Yeah.
They're done. Yeah. So they fucking.
And Rutgers is under 500. So to that point.
Oh, they were a big disappointment this year.
Yeah.
Yep. But all right, we'll have some fun with it.
It'll be fun, man. I'll definitely do a lot more research over this weekend as well before I make my actual bracket. But it'll be fun talking some college hoops on here, man. It's some of the best time of the year. I won't say the best because football season,
Yeah,
the
that's
best time
true.
of the year. But this is
it's not the tournament as a whole.
there.
I think I've said this to you a bunch. I love this like conference tournament week's electric because there's games on, not today, but for the most part, starting like Wednesday.
Starting tomorrow.
There's games or
noon.
tomorrow, yeah. There's games
like
on
noon all day.
And then like the first weekend, and specifically the first Thursday, Friday, like next Thursday, Friday are the two best days. Like of the like those full 2 days are unbelievable. So yeah, that's
gonna
what
be
I'm
exciting,
ready for.
man.
News for people, I most likely will not be doing a show next Friday because I'm going to be indulged at a certain point very early, and
I feel it though. Nobody wants to do a show while like
games tip off at noon. So
going, man.
Yes, sir. But all right, guys, an hour and 25 minutes. We're like, yo, it won't be that long again every day. So if you guys are looking for an hour and a half worth of content, here we are. Again, 100 people in the stream, which is one of the bigger numbers we've seen over the last couple of weeks since Eagle season has ended. Again, do yourself a favor, do us a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Very simple, free, easy. Just like any other YouTube channel you subscribe to. Subscribe for myself, for Scotty, for DSM. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll be back Wednesday night talking with you guys. Peace out.
Yes, sir. Peace, everybody.